And welcome to the Bristol Maritime Academy, where we specialise in training for people working near, in or on water. This session will be on We Hope It Helps. So here we have a reasonably standard life jacket. This is a crew saver, crew fit, 165 Newton. This number here tells us it's suitable for an adult. It's not suitable for offshore conditions, but along the coast and inland conditions it's very good. This might go up to 290 to work offshore. That's a slightly different life jacket. We're going to concentrate on this because it's the most generally used for working in or near water. First thing to do is we're going to check the outer casing, just make sure that all the covers, there's no rips, tears, stitchings are all there, no burn marks, anything like that, because if it's burnt or ripped in here, there's a big chance that the bladder inside will be also. Once we've done that, we're going to check the harness sort of webbing area. So here we've got the stitches, we're making sure that they're okay, make sure that there's no stitchings gone anywhere. And as we do that, we can check our clips. Here's a clip here, this is your crotch strap. They can be a little bit brittle, so we're just going to check that that's okay. Carry on checking our straps. Fine. And then the main one, there's two different types. This is like a seatbelt scenario, so we push the red button and it comes in and out. More modern. It clicks in, and then we hear the click and the red button goes up. With these ones, really make sure there's no grit or dirt or dust gets in there, because they work really well, but obviously in construction site or somewhere like that, then obviously there's a big risk to that getting gritted up and then it won't close properly. So you want to hear the click and you want to see the red button pop up. So we check all that off. The other one is you might get two metal buckles where one goes through the other, and by doing that it's much easier to check because it's just two metal loops that you just push through each other. So once we've done that, we're happy with the outside, we've done our visual checks, then we're going to open up for the bladder. So one thing to notice when we open it up with this, on these crew saver ones for example, there's these yellow areas here, yellow zip there as well, which isn't connected and the teeth don't touch. And the reason for that is that obviously when the life jacket inflates, these need to pop with the zip open, so don't panic if they're not connected. They're supposed to be like that, there and there, look. Okay, and then they'll pop. The other thing we see on the outside, just quickly we'll see inside, is the manual inflation. This is what you pull, not now. This is what you pull if you need to manually inflate the life jacket. But I'm just going to unzip it now. And as we unzip it, we're now into the bladder, and we can see a few things in here. So as we undo the bladder, so we can have a look, just keep your eye on all the areas, because this is what's going to keep you afloat. Unfold it out. I'm going to unfold this one out. Don't be scared of unfolding it, it's important. And we're lucky that on the other end there are some instructions about how to fold it up again. Take that away. So here we go. So here we go, we're going to check the bladder. This is our bladder that you might have seen on aircraft before when we open it up, and we're just going to check it's all sealed, look. There's no bubbles in it, there's no tears around the edges. I'm going to do it on this side as well. The back, make sure there's no rips, tears, anywhere there's stitches as they should be. All the way around. This one looks good. So that's good. As I've done that, I've also spotted that the reflective tape is okay. Here, here and here, look, because that's what's going to help us get spotted. And then once we've got everything together, we're now going to look at the equipment that's inside the life jacket. So the first thing we notice here is the whistle for attracting attention. That's all tidied away and nice. And then this is our manual blowing inflation tubes. Yeah, so we can blow in that, but let's blow out. So I'm going to blow into it, and then I'm going to suck. So when I blow in, air goes in, but when I suck, air doesn't come out. Good sign. Okay. So in a minute, we're then going to inflate it all the way up, and then the other thing that you'll spot, which we'll talk again in a minute, is this, which is the manual gas inflation and also the automatic firing pin, and this is an automatic life jacket we're working on. So we talked about this. To make sure there's no grit or anything, if you are to deflate it, put the cap in and that deflates it. But I'm just going to blow it up. Okay, so that's blown up. Didn't take long, hopefully. And we can see that it crosses over when it's blown up, which is good. Put the cap back on, and we see it's not deflating. Now, what I would suggest is leaving this overnight, just to make sure it doesn't deflate over a long period of time. We can check everything as we've got it out now, all the seals again, but just check and leave it overnight and make sure no air gets out of it. When we want to deflate it, now we've had a go, we tried sucking it and we know that doesn't work, which is good, it means it's working. We're then going to use the cap, and we're just going to push it in there to get the air out. There we go. So take it over the table so I can squeeze the air out by keeping the cap on. Squeezing all the air out. And obviously, I don't think we're getting air out of it. If you could use a pump, that would be good to suck the air out, to get it all dry. And also, the other thing to remember is that in our breath there's moisture. So every time you blow it up, you're putting a bit of moisture inside the life jacket, which isn't designed to have moisture inside it. Let's just keep deflating that. There we go. Right. So, we check that. Let's put the cap back on there because we're not going to use that again for a minute until we fold it up and we find there's a bit more air in there. Next thing to have a look at is this, which is the cylinder. I've got one next to me, but I'm going to show you the three parts. So I'm going to use this one just so it's easier to see. Okay, same thing. So the three parts are, we've got our gas cylinder, which is here. We've got our firing mechanism, which is here. And then this is the mechanism that's attached to the life jacket that the air goes through and inflates on the other side. Look, that's where the air gas comes through into the life jacket itself. So a couple of things to notice on this. We'll do this first, is that it's got the push on the bottom, and when you push that up or pull that down, the pin comes out and it pushes a pin into the gas canister. This gas canister, this one's been used, it's got a hole in it, but what we're checking for is A, it's what it says, 33 grams, and it says on the life jacket, we'll see in a second. B, there's no corrosion anywhere, and there's no hole in it. And then finally, we're just making sure the thread is all good and it's not all threaded. Gas canister, relatively simple. This is our firing pin. This one says, this will have your date on of when to replace it by. So that's the important thing, to keep an eye on and log the date of when to replace it by. Green is go, so that means it's not been used. But we can just do another check, and if we check inside, there's a red disc, and that's what pushes up. And then the red disc is below the threads which tie inside. And I don't know whether you can see it, but here's one that has gone off. And you can see that the red disc is over the thread, whereas on this one, the red disc is under the thread. So that's a second check we can do to these. And also the used one hasn't got the green cap on the bottom. So we know this is new, we know it's in date, we know that should work as well. So that's our three elements we're going to work with on the life jacket. When we put it back together, what we're going to do is, first of all, put the gas cylinder in until it's finger tight. Then we're going to put the firing pin on again until it's finger tight. A little edge at the end. And that's ready to go. Make sure that's down. Now, the other thing to be aware of, this is our manual inflate here, look, okay? So if I pulled that, that would help the pin go up rather than this. This has got salt crystals in it, so they dissolve and that's what lets the spring go. Whereas this one, if you pull it, it'll push the spring up. Now, to know that hasn't gone, if it's got red like that and there's no green, you know that someone's pulled it, so it's probably been used. So you get something similar to this, which is a green bit of plastic, and that clips on over the top. Okay. And then when that clips on, that'll stay on. And if someone's pulled it, then when they pull it, the green comes out. So I'll just demonstrate. So if it's green is go. So we've got green there, and we've got green on the end there as well. Green is go. So as I pull it, that would obviously pull the plastic off, which tells me that someone's inflated this. So green is go. So now if we come back to our life jacket, it's here. is ours. So a couple of things to check. We can take this off, make sure it's nice and tight. As we just said, just a really quick check. Green is go. The red disc is okay. That's not there as well, and that seems to work. We're going to take the gas canister off as well. This one's quite tight. There we go. Check the CO2. This is a 33 gram, and it says there 33 gram. So we know it's the right gas canister. We can push that and check the pin works. Yep, which it does. I can see inside the pin that that's working. And the green's on. So it looks like no one's been using it, no one's used it, so we're just going to attach it all up again. First we're going to put the gas canister in. Just quickly, we checked on that, no corrosion, and there's no hole in it, just to prove to you. Push that back in, and we're going to make it finger tight again. Green's on there, that's fine. We're going to put this back in. We know this one's okay. Again, just be careful not to thread it. Tighten it up till it goes all the way to the end, and then just give it an extra little nudge to make sure it's tight, and a nudge to make sure it's tight. Okay. And if we were putting a new one on, that would, this green bit of plastic would come in the package, and we just push that back on, and that is ready to go. So that's all ready, making sure that our manual is there as well. So we know that everything's there. It's all in date. We've checked the date. This one says replaced by 2023, and currently it's 2021, but it's got the month on as well. So we know everything's as it should be. So we've checked everything we need to check. We've also replaced anything we need to replace out of the firing mechanism. And we've also made sure that everything has, if it is one that's in use, that it hasn't been used before we wear it. Now we've done that, we can then refold everything up. So first is to check the instructions and what they say. And as I showed you before, they're there. Now remember that I blew it up, so there's some air going to come out, so I haven't disconnected that yet, because I imagine when I start folding it, there might be a bit of air left. So this one says to fold that under there, put that down, and then wrap it up. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And then as we do that, we can then get the zip and start the zip off. Fold, fold, fold. Make sure our red toggle is out, and then we can start zipping it up. And if you get the first bit right, then you'll find that zipping it up is much easier as you go, because once you're in, and obviously the zip pulls it together. Now, one thing you can do with the zips, as I do this, is you can use synthetic lube if you want, or something like that, just to protect the zip as we go around. You're going to make sure it doesn't get caught on the bladder. Okay, there we go. All zipped up. Okay, so we've got all zipped up as per it's supposed to be, and then the last thing to do is I'm going to tuck the zips away so they can get shoved back up there so they're not dangling down. Same with this one. The red toggles out as we zipped it up correctly, and we did it as per the instructions. We push that back up there, and we are back and ready to go.